Hi, Turbo Girl.
Hi, teacher.
In this lesson, we are going to learn more about the area of a square and rectangle and the units of measure for area. Are you ready to start?
Yes.
We are in a classroom. Can you find the area of this classroom floor?
Yes, I can. By placing squares on the classroom floor and counting them. I know that we need 48 squares to fill up the space of the classroom floor. So, the area of the classroom floor is 48 square units.
Good.
This is weird. The area of the floor is now only 12 square units. Why is that so?
Oh, Turbo Girl. Fewer squares are used now because the squares used are bigger than the ones you used previously. Therefore, using squares of different sizes will give us a different measurement despite measuring the same area. In order for us to measure area accurately and correctly, we have to use a standard unit of measure.
What is the standard unit of measure for area, teacher?
That depends on how big the surface area you are measuring. If you are measuring the area of a book cover and its length and breadth are given in centimeters, you can use 1 centimeter squares to measure its area. For example, to find the area of this small storybook's cover of 10 centimeters by 7 centimeters, we need 10 1 centimeter squares to line along its length. We then repeat that 6 times until the area is completely covered by squares. There are altogether 7 rows of 10 1 centimeter squares. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 is equals to 70. Thus, the area of the storybook's cover is 70 square centimeters. The area of the storybook's cover is 70 square centimeters.
Oh, I understand now. Instead of usually squares of any size, we use 1 centimeter squares as a standard unit of measure.
Yes, you are right. Turbo Girl, now you try measuring this photo frame using 1 centimeter squares.
Teacher, this photo frame has an area of 120 square centimeters.
Good work. Here are other examples on the measure of area in square centimeters. A television screen, a laptop screen, and a birthday card. Turbo Girl, what did you do when you measured this figure using 1 centimeter squares?
I line the length with 4 1 centimeter squares, and I repeat the process until I cover the whole surface with 1 centimeter squares. I then count the total number of squares I use, which is 4 plus 4 plus 4, which is equals to 12. The area of this figure is 12 square centimeters.
Good. You have added 4 3 times to get the answer 12. Thus, we can also rewrite that as 4 times 3 equals to 12.
Hey, I get it. Instead of me counting and adding the squares one by one, I can simply find the number of squares needed to line the length and multiply it by the number of times I have to repeat that until I cover the whole figure.
Good thinking, Turbo Girl. Let's use what you have just learned to find the area of this rectangle in square centimeters.
Alright, it takes 7 1 centimeter squares to line the length of this rectangle, and I have to repeat the process 3 times. Therefore, I take 7 times 3, and that gives me 21. The area of this rectangle is 21 square centimeters.
Excellent work.
Teacher, why must we know the area of figures or objects?
Tell me, Turbo Girl, can you help me buy a photo frame?
Sure, teacher. Can you tell me how big you want the photo frame?
There, you have just asked me a question about area. In fact, when you ask me how big, you are asking for the area of the photo frame. And without that information, you might just buy the wrong one for me.
Okay, I understand the importance of area now.
Well, to know the area of a figure or an object or even a place is important. For example, an architect is designing a house. He has to know the area of the room floor so that he will know if there is enough space for the number of people who are going to be living in that house. Similarly, when the owner of a house wishes to put tiles on the floor, he has to consider the total area of floor that is to be tiled. So the total number of tiles used is related to the area of the floor.
Do we measure all areas using square centimeters?
As I have mentioned earlier in this lesson, the units used will depend on area size. If I am measuring the area of the floor, I will use square meters because it is a big area. But if I am measuring the area of the book cover, I will use square centimeters as its area is much smaller. It takes 10,001 centimeter squares to make 1 square meter. Thus, we know that square centimeters is a smaller unit when compared to square meter. Do you understand that, Turbo Girl?
Yes, teacher. Can you show me an example on measuring area in square meters?
Alright, let's find out the area of this floor in square meters. If each tile is a 1 meter square, then 12 tiles are used to lay the floor. The area is 12 square meters. The area of the floor is 12 square meters.
That's easy. It's just like measuring area in square centimeters, except that we are using bigger squares now. Teacher, what happens if I do not have neither 1 centimeter nor 1 meter squares with me, and I need to find the area of an object or place?
You can estimate its area instead. For example, if you are comparing the area of a coffee table to a big dining table, it is clear that the dining table is bigger than the coffee table. Therefore, the dining table must have a greater area than the coffee table. Supposing we know that the coffee table has an area of about 2 square meters, we can then compare it with the dining table in order to estimate the dining table's area. Since it takes 4 coffee tables to make 1 dining table, the area of the dining table is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 square meters, which is equal to 8 square meters.
I see, teacher. Teacher, learning about area is indeed interesting and useful.
That's very good, Turbo Girl. I'm glad you like it. Alright, can you remember what you have learned today?
Yes, this is what I have learned. We have to use square standard units of measure when measuring area. The standard units are square centimeters and square meters. We use square centimeters to measure smaller areas and square meters for bigger areas. To measure the area of a given figure, we use either 1 centimeter squares or 1 meter squares to line the length of the figure. I then repeat the process until I cover the whole surface with the squares. I then count the total number of squares I use. That will give the area of the figure.
Good, Turbo Girl. But can you remember the shorter way to do that?
Yes, we can simply find the number of squares needed to line the length of the figure and multiply it by the number of times I have to repeat that until I cover the whole figure. Finally, I have also learned how to estimate the area of objects by using area of another object which I know.
That's good. That's the end of today's lesson. I hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye, teacher.